From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're going to bring in we have a great guest on via Skype. We're going to bring in just a moment. But if you'd like to enter the discussion that we are about to have, 603-250-6007 is the studio line, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. You can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat, but the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. And we have Kevin Hammer via Skype. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. I just wanted to check. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
A bit choppy, a bit staticky, but I can make everything out. Every word you're saying.
Okay, good. Yeah, technology will not always be exactly what we want it to be. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But yesterday we had a band on all the way from Germany called Factory of Art, and when you're getting transcontinental, it can be especially challenging. And they were Skyping in, but they had a little bit of a problem connecting. Eventually it worked, but had to give it a few shots. But where are you? Are you in Schenectady, New York?
Yes. Yep. I do reside in Schenectady, New York, which is not that far from the capital, Albany, New York.
Yeah. I have some family in New York State. Spent some time there as a kid because haven't been there in a while. Well, at least not in terms of spending any real time there. But my dad's second wife, her family is in I don't know if you know Frankfurt. It's kind of near I guess it's kind of near Utica.
Yeah, I'm aware of the Frankfurt area. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of funny in that area. You've got all those, they don't even really call them towns; they call them villages, like Frankfurt and Ilion, and it's hard to tell where one ends and another one begins. They're kind of like one city sort of matched together, but it's really like a series of neighborhoods. It's interesting. But
it's funny. Yeah, it is funny up here. I actually grew up in a community where the Amish had posts to tie up their horses. So yeah.
Really? No kidding. In New York? Yep. Or were you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
I was born and raised in Schoharie and Montgomery counties in New York State. And it's funny because most people, when you say you're from New York, they go to the city. But I grew up in small town, rural New York. Like I said, we had an Amish community, Mennonites. We had all that out there. And like I said, our bank, our the post office, our grocery store, they all had posts to tie up their horses. In fact, they put in a brand new, a few years ago, they put in a brand new sign in the center of town, buggy parking, horse buggy parking. So,
no kidding. Oh,
yep.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. You ever see that show, Amish Mafia? I think it was actually set in Pennsylvania. Did you ever see that? I think it was on the Learning Channel.
No, I'm aware that it exists, but no, I have actually never seen a full episode. I saw a trailer for it once, and I found it very amusing.
It's a trip. I know someone who claims to be a real New Yorker from the city who will often brag about the time that he interviewed Lebanon Levi from Amish Mafia, and it's kind of like, wow, that's quite the brag there. But yeah, that show, I have seen the show. It's kind of a trip. But now, what is your current status in terms of, are you a candidate or do you currently hold office?
Well, I am currently a candidate. I will admit I'm not going to speak so much to the the race right now in my campaign.
Yeah.
Right now, the Democrats. I am a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats have their primary coming up. So we're just reaching out to the community right now, still knocking on doors, getting our names out there. I ran in 2021 for city council, and I'm running again.
Okay, in Schenectady?
Yep, in Schenectady.
Gotcha. Now, have you held office before, or have you run? Did you run for office prior to 2021?
No, 2021 was my first time entering politics in that fashion.
Okay.
Prior to that, I had been involved more on the activist side since probably around college.
Okay. And now you came to us by way of our friend Billy Painter, or Bad Billy, as he is, as his online persona. Although personally, I don't know what you think, Kevin. I think he should just use his real name. I think Billy Painter is a cool name. I don't know why. I just like the way it sounds. But yeah, he had recommended, and I'm glad he connected us. And I didn't get a chance to see quite the whole thing, but I did watch most of your interview, Billy's interview with you, I should say, on Outlaw Radio, and very interesting. And we had talked via Messenger, and you had mentioned you're a Republican, but you like to be able to discuss things with people outside of the echo chamber. And, one of the things that I try to do with this show, and this is part of what made you interesting as a guest, and why I think Billy suggested you come on is, and I'm an independent, but I would probably best describe my politics. And when I go with this particular description, people seem to agree with me. I'm center left, but with a heavy dose of libertarian in some ways too. But I really like talking to, I don't personally enjoy having discussions that are strictly, ideological, the sort of cable news, two people yelling at each other. I like to dig deeper, and I like talking to people whom, of course, it's nice to talk to people with whom I agree. It's also nice to talk to people with whom I disagree, and have a real discussion and an exchange of ideas. And my impression, both from Billy and what you had said on Messenger, is that you're very open to that as well, and that you like to address things outside the echo chamber. So I think that's very cool, and I'm very interested in. So a couple things about you that are interesting. Also, in addition to that I wanted to ask you about, one is I would like to hear your story about how Billy described you as a walk away from the Democratic Party, and you alluded to it a moment ago as well, that you used to be a Democrat. And it's interesting. You said something interesting in your conversation with Billy on his show. You were talking about how you really kind of feel more like an independent, but the way the system works in New York, if you want to vote, or I suppose if you want to be a candidate in your case, because you're an active candidate, independents generally don't win. So, you almost have to pick a side in that sense. But I do want to ask you more about all of that, your journey and how you've changed politically, or if you have changed. Sometimes people will say, regardless of which party they left, I hear people say, well, the party didn't, I didn't leave the party left me. But I'm curious to hear more about that. The other thing that's interesting about you is, so you are, and it's right on the website there that I was looking at, you're openly gay, and in a party that I think there's a perception, and you might refute this today, I don't know, or it might be a concern. I'm curious to hear you address this. But there is a perception that the Republican Party today has kind of taken an anti-LGBTQ bent, but then again, I also realize you're in New York, and the Republican Party of New York State is not the same as, say, no disrespect to the South, but the Republican Party of Alabama, so maybe where you are, and I suspect this is the case, but I'll be interested to hear you address this. Maybe where you are, it just doesn't matter. I mean, I know George Santos is an openly gay Republican, allegedly. Of course, you don't know whether you can believe anything he says, but he is an openly gay Republican from New York, and nobody seems to care that he's gay. So everyone's very interested in whether he's actually telling the truth about anything, but nobody seems to care that he's gay. So in the Northeast, maybe it's just not an issue. I don't know, but I'd be curious to get your perspective on that. But but yeah, any of that you want to address. I know I threw a lot at you at once, but I'm very curious to learn more about you. And your conversation with Billy left me with a lot of questions. So as you can tell, so where
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
You threw a lot of ground at me.
Yeah.
Where to start on the map. No, no. Well, it is true. I was once I was a registered Democrat, actually self-identified as a leftist at one point. I was involved as an activist more during the time when SJW was more commonly used,
Okay.
social justice warrior. Back in those, you don't really hear that anymore. I had a journey which, there was a lot involved in it. And I came to embrace more of my conservative values. Now, part of that journey was indeed the fact, as you said, many people say, I didn't leave the party left me.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic Party went further to the left. That's true. However, at around the same time, I was also connecting to some more of my conservative root values that had always been there. So it really was a mixture. I can't say that, now identifying as a conservative and speaking to conservative values, I can't say that they weren't there at all, right? They
Sure.
were there even when I was more on the left. It's just how my interactions went on the left ultimately led to me embracing more of those conservative values. And ultimately rejecting a lot of the ideology that I saw on the rise on the left. Now, it is true that in regard, I like to say today that I prefer to discuss values, not party.
Yes.
And that really has become more and more of my focus. Not too long ago, I was having a discussion with two gentlemen about issues locally. And when we got done with our conversation, I was expressing my opinion. I was talking about specific issues. And when we got done with the conversation and the one guy left, the other guy, who happens to be a Republican, a conservative like myself, he goes, wow. He goes, that was impressive. He goes, usually when me and the other guy me and my other friend try to talk to him, he's hard Democrat. And he will yell at us, get frustrated with us and all that. And I go, I understand that. And I've had that experience as well. But did you notice something in our conversation? Not once did I mention party affiliation. During this entire conversation, I just spoke about the issues and my personal values, leaving party out of it allowed us to have a better connection.
Yeah. That makes sense because you, when you had that conversation with Billy on his show, you were talking about that. There's a moment that I wanted to kind of mention this to you, and I liked what you had to say. There's a moment where you offered him some advice on, he was talking about his daughter and a political conversation interaction that he had with his daughter, and you said to Billy, "Can I give you some advice?" And the advice that you gave him, and I won't, I'm sure I won't get it out as eloquently as you put it, because I really liked what you had to say. But your suggestion was, start with, don't talk about political party with your daughter. Talk about specific issues and just stick to that. And I really, again, the way you said it was very, very good. And I can't remember exactly how you put it, but it really resonated with me because, I feel like we live in a world where people are so hyper-focused on party identification and ideology that there's no room to even express anything outside of what's expected to you. For example, on social media, if you are on either left or right, if you're a Republican and you say, well, I'm a Republican, but here's something that I do give President Biden credit for. I think he's right on, maybe, the way he's supplied weapons to Ukraine or whatever, if that's something you happen to agree with him on. If you give Biden credit for anything as a Republican, you'll get dogpiled, you'll get called a rhino, you'll get called a socialist, whatever it is, right? And in the inverse, if you're a Democrat and you say, well, I don't like Trump, but I did agree with him on the debt ceiling. That was something that he got right. You'll get dogpiled by your fellow Democrats. And it's like, how can you dare say anything good about Trump? And and that just perpetuates, we live in a world where it's like you're expected to be locked in on one side or the other. And so I think your approach is smart. Talk about forget about the political identification, start with the issues and go from there. Because at the end of the day, especially when you're talking about local things, I think there's a lot of room for agreement. If you're running for city council or something like that, I think there's probably a lot more room for agreement and less room for ideology than there is on a broader scale anyway. So I think the way you approach it and the way you think about it, I think makes a lot of sense.
We've gotten to a point where if you're talking about a politician, whether they be Democrat, Republican, whatever they may be, and you are on that opposite end of the political spectrum, at least that's your party affiliation, and you do speak kindly to them in any way, you do get that attack, unfortunately. We are that polarized. Mm-hmm. Although I would say that we're polarized in regards to what the media highlights, in regards to what the politicians highlight, but not so much when it comes to day-to-day Americans, everyday Americans, who I feel actually can have more conversations. And I know, in fact, we can because I've taken part in those conversations. Mm-hmm. It's more on the social media where I get the conflict. But in person, right. I've had in-depth conversations with people on the opposite end of the political spectrum. Sure, we did not agree, but we remained civil, absolutely. And I think in part that's because I had a friend once kind of put it this way. He was saying, it's kind of like we're at this point, say there was a historical a dictator, a monstrous dictator, right? And that dictator happened to say, puppies are cute. Well, after that point, no one could ever say puppies are cute because this dictator said it, right?
Right.
So no one can say puppies are cute now. So it's very interesting that we have gotten into that, and it does exist on both sides of the aisle, all across the political spectrum. Now, for me personally, it's interesting because I look back to my roots and where I came from. One of the things I actually feel very fortunate in regards to is that I did not have very political parents. My parents never discussed voting with me, to be honest. Some people may not look fondly upon that, for various reasons, but it's just not who my parents were. Okay. And I remember once asking them about voting, and both my parents had the same view. Why bother? They're all crooked anyways.
Really?
Across the board. And that's a common view, actually. But for me, especially when I entered college, and I started looking at the world around me, I realized something that was true whether I liked it or not. There's the saying that you don't have to believe in the devil. All that matters is the devil believes in you. And that's true when it comes to politics. You can say you don't care about politics. You can say that you don't care, it doesn't impact your life, but that's just not true. I had a conversation with a friend who lives in a more rural area, and he was telling me earlier, he had been telling me in the week about he was putting in a duck pond and, in a coop for the ducks and all that stuff. And then later on, he was telling me how politics doesn't impact his life, so he just doesn't want anything to do with it. And I remembered back to our earlier conversation, and I asked him, knowing the answer probably, I said, I have a question. You think politics doesn't impact your life? I got a question. Did you check all the zoning laws and regulations when you put in that pond and you put in that coop? Because if you did not follow them to the T, those were passed. Those rules were passed by government, by local government. So yes, it does. And politics impacts us from the moment we are born and before. We were born, though, if you're born in a hospital, there are regulations, policies that the hospital has to follow that have been implemented by government. Government does impact us from womb to tomb. And even after the tomb, to be honest, because they can become, cemeteries. So, I mean, politics does impact you whether you like it or not. So once I
Yeah.
came to that realization when I entered college, I got involved, and at the time it was more on the left. I was an activist. I was a co-founder of one of the GSAs at my college. At the first college I went to, and I really did fall into more with the left. And for me, that did end up eventually taking more of an extreme turn at one point to where I did cut out family over politics. Now, one
Really?
thing I never did, I never told anyone they didn't have a right to speak. This is where it honestly started to change for me. Is when I actually got that treatment in return, and I'm actually thankful that I did, to be honest. I started to question things on the left at the time. And like I said, I don't say this to say that everyone who is left leaning has these personality traits or takes part in this behavior.
Of course.
I'm speaking to the experience I had during my journey from the left to the right. And and I've met people on the right who are very big on, if you don't have this specific view, then you're cut off, right? Nothing to do with you. But for me, I experienced it largely on the left, and still do to this day. What had happened was, I think, as I always I always kind of say, I think what really ultimately was going to result in my conflict with the left was that I'm very stubborn,
Hmm.
and I don't respond well to people trying to put me in my place. I'm someone who
Yeah.
always asks questions.
Yeah.
I wasn't the child who easily accepted when my parents told me something. I wasn't the child to really accept because I said so. I was the child who would ask why.
Yeah.
And I view that as important. You tell a child not to touch a burning stove. Why not explain to them why they shouldn't touch the hot stove, because
Right.
they could get hurt, instead of just saying, because I said so.
Right. Right.
They're more likely to rebel against that and actually touch the stove and get burnt. But if you explain to them why, you're gonna probably have a different result. I mean, they could still do it,
Right.
but but you're probably gonna, at least they're gonna have a better understanding. And I really had that personality from the time I was very young. Trust me, it frustrated my mother at times.
Yeah.
But my mother my mother understood where my logic was going. And ultimately, I think this personality trait is what eventually caused me to conflict with the left as it moved further and further to the left. Because when I entered the left, there was a lot of things that were preached that I absolutely believed in, and still do actually believe in to this day. It's just when I noticed a lot of double standards and hypocrisy on the rise, that was when I started to conflict, because I started to ask more questions.
Yeah.
And I do have a few examples of those that I found where I was starting to, like, for example, there was this, we would say, all right, you shouldn't judge someone by the color of their skin. Absolutely. Absolutely, you shouldn't.
Mhm.
That's wrong. That's racist. To have a prejudice against someone based on the color of their skin, that is racism. That is the definition of racism, right? It's wrong to judge someone's entire character based on their sex. Absolutely. Absolutely agreed with that. And I still agree with that deeply.
Yes.
It's wrong to judge someone, hate someone based on their sexual orientation. And, in regards homosexuality, heterosexuality, I still believe that.
Sure.
However, I noticed that there became more and more among my friends this double standard, meaning they believed that racism only went one way, sexism only went one way, hating someone based on sexual orientation only went one way, and that if you were the oppressed, quote unquote, demographic, you had every right to treat other people however you wanted based on these characteristics, because you were the oppressed. And that just didn't sit right with me. I think that it's just as wrong for me to attack a heterosexual man for being heterosexual, to call him some kind of name, a slur related to that, as it would be for him to call me a slur in regards to my sexual orientation. I saw that as just as wrong. But unfortunately, on the progressive left right now, they don't see that as, they see one as wrong, but not the other.
but where were these? Were there personal experiences that you had where this came up? Because I don't. I mean, well, first of all, let me just say. So I fundamentally agree with you. I mean, anybody being prejudiced against anyone is a form of prejudice. Like I'm not a big fan of the term, and you might agree. I'm not a big fan of the term reverse racism. I think
no.
Racism is racism. Yeah.
Yep.
But I am curious. So, I mean, were there personal experiences that you were having, or did something happen to you online where you began to notice? Because I don't feel like I see. While I agree with you in principle, I haven't. Granted, I don't really engage much online in politics. I kind of save it all for the show. But I agree with you in principle, but it's not something I've seen. Like, I can't off the top of my head think of a lot of examples of straight people being attacked for being straight. I'm not sure. So can you clarify that a little bit? I'm just curious where you were running into that, and if you can walk us through how you responded to that when you encountered it, and how that drew you to see hypocrisy and double standards and so forth.
Well, let me explain, because I know the perspective you're coming from. In my personal life, when I say I was an activist, well, I may not have, been high up there and gotten a lot of attention. I was very much involved in activism. Mm-hmm. And I did end up with friends who went further and further to left, like not just people on social media, people in my circle of friends who, for example, over a political disagreement, one friend I had, he did try to get someone fired from their job. Oh. He doxed them. Like, I knew people who honestly were at that level of encouraging people to cut off family, even divorce their spouses over political disagreements. Like, yeah. My circle of friends went hard left. So it wasn't even social media, which, don't get me wrong, I experienced that on social media, of course. Yeah. I was part of a lot of left-leaning political groups and chats and everything like that. Yeah. But I had people in my life, people I had known for years, who were also of this mentality and actually took part in these actions. And like, when I had the falling out with my family member over politics, a lot of my friends encouraged me to cut her out of my life and never talk to her again. And this was someone who is my baby cousin. I'm about 4 years older than her, and I was there when she was born. Mm-hmm. And we had a falling out over politics. And at the time, I was much more extreme and much more that you got to agree with me on this or else I don't want to talk to you. And I was surrounded by people who had that same mentality and encouraged that mentality in me. Now, I still made the decision, right? Yeah. No one held a gun to my head or anything. But not to say that someone wouldn't do that these days. It seems like some might. But no, I still made that decision. So I still take responsibility for my actions there. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I was completely helpless. I was forced to, by threat of my life or anything. I ultimately was the one that made those decisions. But so that was my circle of friends. Sure. Just to clarify, is I actually marched on Washington, D.C. I protested outside my capital. I went to organizational meetings. I helped organize protests. I spoke at protests. I was deeply involved in regards to the activity locally when it came to the left. Yeah.
I will actually, I want to kind of retract and rephrase something I said. When you mentioned specifically people trying to get people fired from their jobs or because of maybe not, whatever it is, their position or something. I have seen examples of that, actually. So I was not, I'm realizing now, because as you're talking, I'm thinking of specific things, where it kind of reminds me of what Candace Owens talked about, although I don't believe her story. I do believe your story because I've seen examples of what you're talking about. I have, and it's starting to come back to me. Candace, I don't know how you feel about her. I don't believe her But that's a separate conversation. But I know what you're saying, and it's yeah. If somebody somebody does something that someone perceives as and they may be right in their perception that it's prejudiced or something, and then they go and they try to get that person fired from their job. That type of thing. I don't like to see that either. I think people do go much too far with that, or the doxing that goes on. And so I understand, you're being, repelled by that. I've never been an activist in that way, so I've not experienced that, but I've never been in that position either. But I have seen that kind of thing happen, Kevin. So I do get where you're coming from on that.
And let me just, because you asked for specific examples. There were specific examples, especially around 2016 going into 2017, because obviously that's when things really heated up.
Yeah.
And that was when, I cut out a family member, but then I started to really question myself on that. I over politics, was going to cut out someone that I had known literally since the day she was born.
Yeah.
Over politics. I had a falling out with my in-laws eventually for a little bit. And I don't regret. Some people might say they regret these fallouts. I don't, because I stepped back and reflected on them, and more I became critical of myself. What could I have done differently? What could I have said differently?
Yeah.
And some of the things that happened personally, where I actually became a target in my circle of friends, started around that time. So I don't know if you recall when a group of 4 young individuals who happened to be Black kidnapped a young man with mental health issues and tortured him and recorded it. And we're calling and we're using racial slurs and towards whites during that. I remember in my group of friends saying, "Oh, okay, here's an act of racism, just as we've called out acts of racism against other demographics, other racial demographics. Here's an act of racism that we should call out as well." Like I said, in my mind, racism is racism, and it's wrong, and we should call it out. But when I went to call that out, people in my own circle of friends said, "No, you can't do that. That's not racism." Was that a violent act? Yes. Was that prejudice? Yes. And I'm like, prejudice is in the definition of racism, but I started getting pushback with that. Another thing that happened to me is I had made a lot of posts critical of Christianity in regards to, the LGBT community. And I had made a number of posts, and my friends in my close circle, they had liked and shared them. Mm-hmm. Well, I made a similar post, except this post I was being critical of Islam in regards to how it has how that religion has treated homosexuals and other people from the community over a span of years. And I was told I should take down that post because my posts against Christianity were fine, but my posts being critical of Islam were wrong, because in the context of America, we're talking about a minority demographic, so I'm punching down. And this just didn't make sense to me. I realized the biggest issue I had was inconsistency in logic. Mm-hmm. If you have a specific set of values and you don't apply them equally across the board, I have to question you. I have to question and then you don't acknowledge the double standards, the hypocrisy at play in your own mind. Don't get me wrong. We all have our double standards to a degree, right? Like, I will admit, when it comes to policy, like, there are things that, yes, children shouldn't do, but adults can, right? That's one case where absolutely. And to me, that's legitimate. I stand by that. But this was very different. And more I started speaking on issues and getting told to be quiet by those in my circle of friends, to the point where I was actually removed from several messaging groups that I had been part of on social media, where I actually knew the people in person. And then one individual, it was amusing, the one that tried to get a guy fired from his job.
Yeah.
There was a protest locally in front of my police station actually. And this I had already been started being very open about my criticisms of the left, and I had started to embrace more of my conservative values in part as a result of that, started reflecting more upon who I really am, really soul searching. But during that time, I hadn't heard from him as much.
Yeah.
I happened to go to that protest. I saw him there. He kind of looked at me, then looked away. And this is someone I had been at his house. I had celebrated with him, celebrated birthdays. Like, really, we had hung out. And sure enough, I went to look him up on social media. Not only had he unfriended me on social media, he had blocked me as well.
Yeah.
So this is what started to happen. And I think one big issue for me was my unwavering belief in free speech.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, even my days when I was the furthest to the left I had ever gotten, I still, while I might cut people out, I might have cut people out,
Sure.
I still didn't believe that they should be silenced.
Right.
I still believed that they had a right to speak to their values, to what they believed, even if their values hurt my feelings. I just wouldn't associate with them if it hurt my feelings. But I believed that to my core, and I still do. So when a number of my friends started taking those actions of, well, we're going to work to get people fired, we're going to even, dox people, release their information, and even sometimes go after family members, because people were just speaking their values, that for me was like, I'm done. I have to step away from this. And that was when my journey really started to where I am today.
Yeah. No, I can understand all of that. And now I'm curious, the other aspect that I'm really interested in. So is my theory correct, Kevin, that you as an openly gay man in the Republican Party in the state of New York, probably not an issue, or have you run into any problems with that where maybe somebody just gives you a hard time?
So I'm not someone who tries to blind myself to reality or tries to deny truth. Of course, the Republican Party has not had a history that has been great with individuals who, like myself, are gay, right?
Yeah.
That's a fact. Then again, it wasn't too long ago that you had Biden up there talking about marriage being between a man and a woman. So, but furthermore, I want to I put it this way now with people, because people do say to me, how can you vote this way? How can you have these values when the party that you're a part of has had this history when it comes to the LGBT community? Well, I'm like, well, first of all, there's a great deal in the LGBT community that I stand firmly against. What I see, especially in the current LGBTQ all the way to Z, community that I absolutely am adamantly against. So first of all, there's that. And second of all, even if, let's say, the Republican Party today put out a platform that all homosexuals should be put to death, right? Even if that were to happen today, my values on freedom of speech, the First Amendment would be the same. The Second Amendment would be the same. Abortion would be the same. Border issues would be the same. I would still have these values. So would I vote for a politician that wanted me put to death? No. But I would vote for a politician that fought for the values that I preach. And yes, they happen to be conservative and Republican. And that's just the fact. So when people try to bring up the history, I'm like, well, that's also the point. It's history, right?
Yeah.
Because we can spend all day going down history, going down that road as to who did what and who did when. I mean, do you want to go back to segregation? Do you want to go back to Democratic Party? I mean, how far do you want to take this?
Well,
yeah.
No, I understand that. But what I'm curious, though, Kevin, is do you get any pushback? You're a candidate for office as a Republican. Do you get any pushback in your own party in New York? Because if you look at the Republican Party's history with, say, for example, marriage equality, obviously there are Republicans. Well, I'll just give you just a quick example. So here in New Hampshire, we were actually ahead of the curve on marriage equality because Jenny was serving in the House in the legislature here in New Hampshire at the time. But there were a large contingent of Republicans in New Hampshire who voted in favor of marriage equality and then voted against repealing it when some Republicans tried to repeal it in the next term. So we were ahead of the curve, but part of what contributed to that was some Republicans who said, no, we let's go ahead and do this. Not all of them, of course, plenty of them opposed it as well, but and there are certainly Republicans who bristle at the idea of undoing that, for example. So there are a lot of Republicans who are pro-marriage equality, but I'm just wondering, I mean, do you run into any fellow Republicans or Republicans you've campaigned with, for example, who have any issue? I wouldn't think that it would be a problem in New York, not to, bring Northeastern elitism into it, but we're both Northeasterners, we can do that. Whereas, if you were running for city council in Alabama or Mississippi or Oklahoma, as a Republican, you might very well, you might run into some trouble. But I'm wondering, have you had any of that here? Or has that part been pretty smooth? Because to your credit, you don't try to hide it. Again, the website I was looking at, you could try to slide one by and refer to your partner on that website, but you don't. You refer to him as your husband. If you had said partner and kept it ambiguous, you might fool some people, but you're not trying to fool anybody, which I really respect you for. Because of the position that you're in, no one could blame you if you did try to sneak one by. You know what I mean? So,
so it's interesting. I guess first of all, it's a matter of my approach, right?
Yeah.
Is to me, there's nothing special in that I do reference my husband in my description. I've seen plenty of profiles where, a male candidate will say my wife in regards to explaining why he's running for office. My wife, my family, I'm running because I want my family to have to live in a safer community. And that's the thing is, first of all, I want to stress.
Yeah.
I am not a gay candidate. I am not a gay Republican. I am a Republican candidate who happens to be gay, who happens to be a homosexual. So gay is not the priority of my identity.
Yeah.
It's not something I put any work into. It's something I just am. Yeah. So that's also the idea of taking pride in that. To me, one of the things is taking pride in an identity that you didn't work for. That's where you get into narcissism and you get into more entitlement. So for me, when I go to speak to a Republican on the street, or I knock on their door, I don't introduce myself as, hi, I'm Kevin the homosexual. I introduce myself as, hi, my name is Kevin Hammer. I'm running for city council. These are the issues that I'm focusing on. And that's where the conversation is.
Yeah.
Have I interacted with any pushback? Yeah, I've interacted. But to me, it's no different. So I have dealt with Republicans. I do have an example of one Republican who couldn't get past the fact that I happen to be a homosexual man. But at the same time, I have people on the left who can't get past the fact that I'm a homosexual who's a Republican. So I witness it on both sides. Now, in regards to marriage equality specifically, I was involved as an activist during that time. I actually marched on Washington, D.C. for the Equality March in 2009. Yes, it was 2009, I believe. So I was involved. In that. But to be honest, my view even on that to a degree has changed in regards to what I personally was fighting for is I wanted legal protections. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to live my life with a man that I fell in love with and not have to worry about my family or anyone else coming in. Right. During certain times, say I was injured and in the hospital, I didn't want to worry about my family coming in and laying claim to me. Right. I didn't want to worry about if I were to pass away, my spouse, being able to inherit what I leave him in my will. I didn't want to worry about that. Now, a lot of people say, well, you could still follow those, the legal processes and leave. Well, the problem is that there was a history of when we didn't have those legal protections, that even if someone said, okay, I'm going to sign off that this person makes all medical decisions for me if I'm incapacitated, or that my items go to this, families would often come in, and there was a history of this, and challenge it on the basis of morality, and even say, well, we feel that our relative was brainwashed into this lifestyle. And therefore we want custody. We want a right to him to make the decisions about his health, or we want a right to his estate. And if a judge's morality was in line with that family, quite often it didn't matter if there was a will. It didn't matter if anything was on paper, the judge would go with that. So for me, it wasn't about even the word marriage. I just wanted security in the fact that there were legal protections for me and the man that I love.
Yeah, that's a big part of why civil unions, in my view, that wasn't enough. That was sort of the compromise when civil unions came in, and it was like, well, but as some of the examples that you gave are reasons why even civil unions didn't quite hold up, and that's one of the reasons why it was so important in my view. Like I said, I've always been pro-marriage equality. But Kevin, you've been very generous with your time. We're already, it's about 10 minutes of 5, so we'll let you go. I know you got to get to dinner and so forth, but not to put you on the spot, but I would like to do this again soon because I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface, and you're an interesting guy. So I do hope we can do this again soon. But before we let you go, please, is there anything that we should know for anyone who might be listening online in your area, where they should go to learn more about your campaign or social media or anything you want to make sure our listeners know about, or anything that you might be involved in online, politically or otherwise, that people should know about?
Well, I mean, in regards to my campaign, where you can learn more about me and also my other amazing candidates who are running alongside me, I really do have some great people surrounding me. On Facebook, you can go to your GOP candidates for Schenectady City Council. It is actually the same on Twitter. There you can find links to our website and just learn more about us. But ultimately, I guess what I want to leave people with is just to really work on avoiding the echo chambers that we have today in our society, regardless of whether they are on the right or the left. Echo chambers, I truly believe, are one of the greatest dangers in our society today. Once you get trapped in them, you get this mentality to actually hate the other side.
Yes.
And the scary thing about that is, once you convince yourself to hate someone, to hate a group of people, history shows us that eventually you can justify doing the most horrific things to those individuals. So get out of your echo chambers if you're in it. Think about your life for a moment. Say, do I have a friend, not an acquaintance? Do I have a friend or someone that I can have deeper conversations with, who's of a different perspective on this issue or that issue, or a different political affiliation? And do we have these conversations? If not, work on changing that. Work on making connections, because like I said, it's the politicians, it's the media, it's the hardcore activists that are creating this view that we are so divided that we can't stand each other. But on the streets, I feel that we very much still can have conversations.
Oh, yeah. And people treat each other differently in person than they do on social media anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
and by the way, I would love to come back on. I'm very much enjoying this conversation. And you're right. Overall, the topics in general, we've just barely scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely had an interesting journey from left to right, and my walk away experience as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll set something up. Jenny will connect with you on that, and we'll make it happen, because I've enjoyed this very much. All right, Kevin Hammer, thank you again so much for joining us today, and we will talk soon.
Soon. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. All right, very good. That was Kevin Hammer, a Republican from Schenectady, New York. He is on the ballot for, well, I don't know if there's a ballot yet, but he's running for city council there in Schenectady. And and I really like what he had to say about, getting out of the echo chambers, because that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk with him today, is because that's something that we talk about a lot on this show. And I really believe that, in fact, we were talking just the other day about algorithms, and how on social media, whether it be YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is, you're actively served up content that matches what you've already looked at, what you've already absorbed. So you're constantly being fed information that reinforces what you already think. And that's good in one sense, right, from a customer service standpoint, because you want to be suggested, so to speak, products or services or content that you are going to be interested in. So, it's no different than on social media in terms of content. It's no different from when, say, you're shopping on Amazon. You want to be presented with products that somehow align with things that you've previously purchased or things that you've previously looked at. So that all makes sense. So the algorithms are a necessary evil, but the evil part in the necessary evil is that, it does reinforce these echo chambers that we all get trapped in and that we're vulnerable to. And if you can have constructive intellectual discussions outside of that and outside of being, trapped in an ideology. And Kevin put it very well when he said what happens is that gets reinforced to the point where people who disagree with each other begin to hate each other. And that's the worst part. And a lot of terrible things become justified because of that hatred. So, yeah, so there you go. But like I said, I feel like we barely scratched the surface with Kevin, so we will do that again soon. From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. We have a wonderful musical guest with us here, Andrea Paquin. I've learned how to pronounce the last name correctly. How are you? Welcome.
Thanks. How are you?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to this. So you're going to play a few tunes for us, and then we're gonna talk, get to know you a little bit. So sure. This will be fun. Oh, and I will say before we go any further, hello to Amy Bates. If one of my radio brethren, if she is listening, which she probably is.
I think she is.
Yeah, I think she most likely is. I actually shared the Facebook feed to her page. So
and I did too.
Good. So she'll definitely see it. These are songs that are from your upcoming album. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing a 6-song EP, and I'm going to do a few songs off of that project. That I actually started the project today, so we can talk about that after if you'd like.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very curious to know more. All right, my friend, I'll let you go ahead and introduce the first song.
All right, this song is called "If You Were Mine." We could take our time, but I want you by my side. Whatever we do, I'm so happy with you. What are you thinking of? Oh, what are you thinking of? So much that was left behind, sometimes on my mind. The view of the horizon's new, and I don't see an end in sight. I don't see an end in sight. Would it be alright to say I think our stars are aligned? be a true romantic if you were mine. I know you've been down and out, but open up your eyes and see that blue sky. It will be all that you ever need. It will be all you'll ever need. There is nothing I wouldn't do to see that view with you. I know I've been there too, but there's a hope living inside of me. There is a hope right here inside of me. Would it be alright to say I think our stars are aligned? I'd be a true romantic if you were mine. I'd be a true romantic if you were mine. There is a feeling I am longing for, so hold me close. Sit beside me now, shoulder to shoulder, just you and me, just you and me, oh, just you and me. I think our stars are aligned. I'd be a true romantic if you were mine. I'd be a true romantic if you were mine. I'd be a true if you were mine.
Oh my God, I love your voice.
Thank you.
I really do. Absolutely.
Thanks.
What were you going to say, Mikey? You look like you were about to say something.
Yeah, that describes my current voice right now, to be honest.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yep, you're getting a lot of love in the chat room too. Jenny is in there, of course.
Oh,
and,
yay.
NH Women Folk.
Oh, yeah,
A group on Facebook.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That's my ladies.
They say bravo.
Aw.
Ann Roy is in there and says she's awesome. And also Terry Waite.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Says hello.
Yeah, those are my friends in Connecticut. Yep.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, yeah, let's keep going. What are you going to play next?
Let's see. How about a song? I'm going to do, and this is a song, I'm going to do a song called Recovery.
Okay.
Yep. And this is also going to be on the new EP.
Very good. Very good. All right.
These thoughts are killing me. Oh, I need recovery. These thoughts are killing me. Oh, I need recovery. From this bare boat I flee. Fending off my enemies at sea. I fight to stay above the swells, while longing for the sounds of the surf. And it leads me to an unknown shore, though I swear I've been there before. Yeah, it leads me to an unknown shore, though I swear I've been there before. These thoughts are killing me. Oh, I need recovery. These thoughts are killing me. Oh, I need recovery. I'm lost at sea.
Love it.
Thanks.
Love it. That
Thank
is
you.
awesome. That is awesome. Ann Roy in the chat room says she exudes emotions. Definitely. Melanie La Liberty, our friend from the great state of Vermont, she says she loves you, and that was fantastic. Miriam Banish says great voice.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of love in there.
That's cool.
Definitely, definitely. You want to play one more, and then we'll talk.
Sure, I'll do one more.
All right, excellent. If you're just joining us, Andrea Paquin is with us in studio.
So I'm going to do a song called This Is Us.
Okay.
There's a hole in the wall behind the picture frame that I took down. Like the gaps in our history we often ignored for far too long. And these dozens of hangings made us look so happy, but we were just covering it up. Covering it up, covering it up, covering it up, covering it up. We're so settled in our ways, we don't know what to say anymore. It's finally coming to me what I failed to see. Every every day waking up. The routine of the mundane we often ignored and fell into our laps, but we never woke up. No, we never woke up. Yeah, we never woke up. We never woke up. Now it's blinding. How did I not see that this is us? Now it's blinding. How did I not see that this is us? There's a hole in the wall behind the picture frame that I took down. Like the gaps in our history we often ignored for far too long. And these dozens of hangings made us look so happy, but we were just covering it up, covering it up, covering it up, covering it up, covering it up. Now it's blinding. How did I not see that this is us? Now it's blinding. How did I not see that this is us? This is us. This is us.
Wonderful. Andrea Paquin is here in studio with us. That was fantastic. NH Women Folk in the chat room says, what a great way to start the weekend. Thank you, Andrea.
Oh, thank you.
And Jean Fugate,
Jean,
I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. She gave a big smiley face.
Awesome.
So you're getting a lot of love in there. Jan Curtin DeRocha
Oh, nice.
says,
Yep.
sounds great, Andrea.
Thank you.
And we have a call. This might be a fan calling in.
Hi, Maddie. It's Gary.
Hey, Gary. What's up?
What a beautiful voice. What a powerful voice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And those songs are fantastic. Just sitting here and wow, they're meaningful.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I got meanings. What she's singing, there's meanings, and they kind of hit home a little. So
Good. Well, that's what music
Right.
should do. Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
good.
she's amazing. She's amazing.
Cool.
Just that powerfulness, and her guitar playing is fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
I'm in love. I'm in love with her voice. It's beautiful. But
Well,
yeah,
good.
I'll always love Jenny, but
Yeah,
you know,
yes, we know.
his voice is fantastic. But yeah, what another great musician he had on.
Yep.
And it starts the weekend off right. Really cool.
Absolutely.
I just had to add my 2 cents because being a musician and she's really great. She's really, really great. So I'll let you go and try. Listen to more. Love you, Maddie.
All right, Gary.
Love you, Jenny. And what a lovely day. Thank you. Thank you for the love. And thank you for a wonderful day, Maddie. And thank you so much for her. She's great. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Gary. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. All right. That was our friend Gary. And we're going to take a quick break. I'm actually going to play a studio track here of Andrea's Boxer. This is another one of my favorites that is on the website. It's a nice website, by the way, AndreaPaquin.com. I'm a website nerd, so I notice nice websites. So, no, Andrea Paquin is here with us in studio. Don't go away. There is plenty more to come.
The day is long and the rain is holding out like a tired boxer in the ring. I want to throw a punch, but it won't do too much at all. This I know for sure. Squaring up and I have loosened up to take this gigantic fall. But in 1, 2, 3, I'm stepping out. 1, 2, 3. Day is long and the sun is finally coming out. It's hotter than yesterday. I let you down back then. That ain't no surprise to anyone at all. Pick myself back up and keep on moving on. And this is where I'll stay. But in 1, 2, 3, I'm stepping out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, I'm stepping out. 1, 2, 3. The day is long and the rain is holding out like a tired boxer in the ring.
And on the couch, she just played a few wonderful songs for us. Andrea Paquin is here. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. It is, wow. Well, thank you again for playing for us. That was fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me.
And you're getting a lot of love in the Facebook live chat. And now you mentioned those are going to be on an upcoming album that you're recording now?
Yes, yeah. Actually, today was the first day that I went into the studio. It's the Greenhouse Studio in Guilford.
Okay.
And so I recorded my master guitar tracks and some scratch vocals for the production piece, and then I'll be finishing up the actual production in Portland, Maine, at a different studio.
Oh, okay. Now, why? I'm always kind of a geek for knowing about recording and why musicians approach it the way they do. So, why at different studios doing different parts of it?
There's going to be some more musicians in the Portland area that are going to be able to join in. We're going to, like I mentioned to you earlier on the break, that I'm going to have some pedal steel on the record, and I'm going to have this like little alt country feel to it. So in the Portland area, there's a lot of musicians that are accessible in that actual studio. They have a lot of connections, so we're going to just wrap it up there, I think. And I'm going to do all my master vocal tracks in Portland, Maine. What's
the studio in Portland?
I think it's just the studio in Maine. The studio in Portland.
Oh, that's what it's called?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I think so. Don't quote me. I'm not sure yet.
That's cool. That's cool. Great music scene in Portland.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
It's always been a lot of very talented musicians there. So that's going to be, you were also telling me during the break too, so it's going to be kind of a different vibe than your previous studio work.
It'll be a little similar, but it's going to be more of that alternative country feel, kind of like a Jayhawks type sound.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So definitely just kind of incorporating some new instruments just to change it up a little bit. And I'm with I work with New Hampshire Music Collective. They are a booking agency throughout New Hampshire. And so they do a lot of my booking, and they actually connected me with this studio. So
very good.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Why the change in approach as far as the music?
I don't know. I just feel it. I just felt the different. I'm listening to a lot of different artists lately, and I've just been influenced with that sound.
Yeah. And you actually, so you were telling me earlier, so you live in Connecticut, but you come up here to record and play shows?
Yeah. So I do play in Connecticut sometimes, and I play in Maine. I do most of my shows in New Hampshire through New Hampshire Music Collective.
Okay.
Which is a very large booking agency in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're from here originally,
I'm from
right?
Manchester, New Hampshire originally.
Wow, yeah. You grew up here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I went to Central High School. I went to...
Oh, I'll be damned.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 97.
2013 here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Peter White?
I know.
Because he because he grew up. See, I grew up in Concord. I didn't grow up in Manch, but Peter grew up here, and he seems to kind of know everybody. So, yeah. So you grew up here. You went to high school here, and then what took you to Connecticut?
Well, Connecticut was I moved to Connecticut in 2006.
Okay.
And then I ended up performing full time, and I was touring the Northeast. Connecticut was central to everything, Boston, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Everything was within 2 hours for the most part. So that was a real great way to tour the Northeast.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I did that for a few years, full time, and then the booking and the managing myself got pretty exhausting. I didn't have a lot of help, so I decided to back off a little bit. And then I just got a job in the field where I have my degree in human services, and so I've been doing that. But I still do that now. But now music is back again at almost full time.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I perform every weekend.
Okay. Good. And how did you connect with is it New Hampshire Booking Collective? Do I have the name of it?
New Hampshire Music.
New Hampshire Music.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. New Hampshire Music Collective. Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody had mentioned to John MacArthur, who is one of the owners for that agency. And then he reached out to me, and then I reached back out to him, and then we connected, and we have a great relationship now.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Honestly, he's made my career what it is right now. Without him, I wouldn't be playing as much. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they're phenomenal people. Yeah.
So are you literally up here every weekend, or?
Just about.
No kidding.
Yeah,
oh,
just
that's
about.
Cool.
Yeah, just about. So I'll do Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm playing 2 to 3 nights a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good. Now, do you have any kind of an ETA yet on when the new album will be done? Or?
July, early July.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be posting my CD release dates on my website and my social media.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll be letting everybody know when that's gonna happen.
Oh, very good. Do you know how many songs are going to be on it?
6 songs.
Okay, so
yeah, it's just an EP.
EP. Yeah, yeah. What goes into the decision to do, because, and this is something I ask everybody, I'm always curious about this. Obviously we live in a time where you've got a lot of different options because of the internet. You could do an EP, you could put out an album, you could just put out singles.
Right.
I've met in the last few years, especially, I've met a lot of artists who they do this thing where they're just putting out singles, but eventually they're going to take those singles and put them into an EP or put them into an album.
That's the plan.
Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's pretty much the plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually was talking to John about that today, and we're talking about pushing the singles and then having the EP come together.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was growing up, it was artists would put out an album and then go on tour, and then eventually they'd put out another album
so different
or an EP.
now.
But
it's like night and day different.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it hard to make those? I mean, on the one hand, it's nice to have all these options, right? But at the same time, is it difficult for you to make those choices as far as, well, do I do an EP? Do I do, how many songs am I going to record for this project?
Well, I mean, so, I had plenty of songs to pick from. I could have recorded. I want to at some point re-record some of the older stuff that I recorded.
Yeah.
But these were 5 new songs that I had written. So I just wanted to get the 5 new ones out.
Yeah.
And I'm also covering John Denver's Country Roads on the new EP.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I've been playing that one forever, and I wanted to get it recorded.
Yeah. Do you, when you play out, do you do mostly originals? Do you mix in some covers?
So there's original venues and there's cover venues, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like listening rooms. Like I'm gonna give a shout out to the Teetotaler in Concord. That's a listening room. So whenever I play Teetotaler, it's 95% originals. But I play places like around, if I play places like Foster's Tavern, or if I play over here at the Foundry, like I'll do mostly covers and I'll throw in a few originals here and there, just because that's the kind of scene,
Yeah.
But listening room events, I will do all my originals. Yeah.
So when you say it's a listening room, so it's people are there to actually hear the music,
right? They're there to listen and have it be a non-speaking event where they're focusing on the music, like it's like a concert hall kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whereas at a bar, it's
it's like you play covers and you get a reaction to people, and then they start listening in, then you get a rapport, and so then I throw in a few originals at that point.
Yeah. Do you do any covers that are kind of obscure? I've met some artists who, they'll do a few covers that are fairly, they might be from well-known artists, but maybe they're deep tracks or whatever, and sometimes the audience doesn't necessarily know that they're covers.
Yeah, I know. I definitely do some songs like that. I'm not quite sure. Tom Petty, All or Nothing.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you know that song, but I do that one.
I'm trying to. I probably know it. So I'm sure I have it cataloged somewhere in my brain.
Yeah, it's a great song. So I do a lot of Tom Petty. I do a lot of Creedence. I do some Brady Carlisle. I do Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
I do Paul Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, I cover I do Ed Sheeran. I mean, big plethora of songs I do.
Yeah.
So from way back from the 60s all the way until current is the songs that I cover.
Do you have any idea how many songs you know? Could you put a number on it?
I have about almost 5 hours of music I could play.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of music.
Wow. Do you ever go back and relearn something you might have forgotten?
Yeah, I'll go back and look, but I'm old school. All these artists are out with their tablets and I still have the old book.
Yeah,
I have my old book on my stand and I flip through and it's about this big. You know?
Yeah.
But they're like, you should probably get my friends like, you want to get a tablet? I was like, I don't know, because I'm used to this this book, because it's full. It's my cover songs. I can't memorize five hours of cover songs.
Right, of course.
But yeah, that's my lifeline right there.
Yeah. Are there any other artists that you play a lot of shows with? Sometimes people it happens almost by accident. People sort of team up and end up just on the same bill a lot.
Well, speaking of that, not really, but I am with the New Hampshire Women Folk Singers. There's 4 of us, actually.
Okay.
And there's going to be a big festival in September 16th, way up north, Sugar Shack Campground. And there's the creator of the festival kind of found the 3 of us to join in with her. and it's just a really amazing group. You have to if people are interested in hearing this folk group, which I would highly suggest and recommend, it's New Hampshire Women Folk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, it's going to be a really great event. It's focusing on music and it's focusing on women's music.
Yeah.
And bringing in artists who are independent, who don't have a name yet for themselves.
Yeah.
And featuring these people who are very talented who deserve the stage.
Is this an annual event?
This is the first year.
Oh, this is the first one. Okay.
It's pretty amazing so far.
Yeah.
So Erica Cushing, she's the creator.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a wonderful folk artist as well, singer-songwriter. She's great.
Okay. Is she the headliner at the...
Not the headliner, but she's pretty much created the whole thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It is very cool. Yeah.
It's nice to see too, just a lot of live music happening in general, because obviously with COVID, everything really shut down for a while there. I mean, did that, because you had mentioned too that, you had kind of, you had really slowed down with the music career for a while. Did that play any kind of a role in that, sort of just having that, the pandemic foisted upon you?
Yeah, at some point it did. So I have my son, he's 8 years old. So when I had Noel, I was playing a little bit, but then I just kind of really, maybe 4 times a year I was playing. Yeah. Very low key.
Oh, okay.
And then over the past year is when I started getting back into it. But the pandemic, I didn't play out at all, hardly, but I am a program director for a nonprofit agency in Connecticut, and we service people with disabilities.
Yeah.
So I oversee programs where people live there.
Oh.
So during that year, the initial pandemic year, they weren't able to leave their houses. They weren't able to see family. They were like literally secluded in their homes. So what I did was I created a Thursday night live music event called Together at Home.
Yeah.
So I would go online every Thursday at 6:00. And all the group homes would join in, and they would be able to see live music. And I did that for an entire year, every Thursday.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Were you able to tell how many? It was homes. So
it started. It's because it was Zoom, because you could see all the Zoom people entering in. So it started off at like 5 or 6 people, and then it turned out to be about 30 people.
No kidding.
Well, 30 individuals, but several locations. So it was great for them because they were able to have a community during pandemic.
Yeah. Did you write any? Have you written any songs about that period?
No, not really. Because I was working in the group home, and I really didn't, because it wasn't that different for me, because we went to work and I could not go to work. So so my lifestyle didn't really change.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You're up here every weekend playing. Are there also, what's the music scene like in Connecticut? Are you able to, or do you even have time to engage in the music scene much there? Because you're up here quite a bit.
It's just different. It's weird. It's a different kind of scene. Like New Hampshire loves music.
Yeah.
I feel like New Hampshire is just like music driven on the weekends. Like local music is really, big here.
Yeah.
I think it's okay in Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different way to approach music in Connecticut. Like booking myself has been difficult there.
Really?
Yeah, it's just really weird. Yeah.
Is there just a lack of? Do you think there's a lack of appreciation for local music? They're just not.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah. I would say I wouldn't know if I would say that, but it's definitely a different feel.
Yeah.
It's not the same. When I come here, it's like amazing.
Yeah. Do you ever do you do shows in Boston or?
So I used to play in a band called the Everyday Visuals, and I was their bass player.
I remember the Everyday Visuals.
Yeah, I was the bass player for about 10 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And then we played a lot in Boston and a lot around here. But yeah, so I haven't been to Boston in a while, but with New Hampshire Music Collective, the goal is to get more in Mass. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So 10 years you were in that band.
10 years. All through high school, college, and a little bit after college.
No kidding. Okay. Now, when you left that? I mean, was the band ending, or did you leave and they kept going?
No, I wanted to pursue my solo career.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the music. I mean, it was like 4-part harmony, 3-part harmony, awesome band. I mean, we were like a independent rock band. Very, very, very awesome music.
Yeah.
But I just, we parted ways, and all of my projects that you hear were engineered by some of the guys in the band.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
Okay.
everything that's recorded was done by the guys.
Yeah. Does that band still exist in some form? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. So the lead singer, Christopher Pappas, he does his own thing. Kyle Fredrickson was the guitar player, engineer type guy. He's doing his own thing. And then Joe Siders, the drummer, is actually now the drummer for the new Pornographers.
Oh, okay. No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Good for him.
Good
Wow.
for him is right. Yeah.
That's a good gig.
And they're touring all the time. And
Yeah.
selling out places. And
Yeah. That's oh, wow. That's
and he's
great.
all those guys in the band, amazing musicians. Chris was the main songwriter. He wrote all the songs and just very talented guys.
Is everything that you're doing now, is that all you in terms of the writing?
Yeah,
or
it's all me.
All you, yeah.
Yep.
Do you ever have you ever considered collaborating with anyone, or do you want to keep your solo stuff?
No, well,
release?
Erica, I mentioned before, her and I have been talking about doing some co-writes.
Yeah.
It's really important, I think, to co-write because it opens you up to different ways of songwriting.
Sure, sure.
Because you're kind of boxed in your own way. And then if you co-write with somebody, it's just like, oh, I never thought of that. And then you start opening up your writing style.
And you mentioned you played bass in Everyday Visuals. What was your first instrument? Was
bass.
You started on bass and then
I had a 4-string Washburn.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and then I upgraded to a 5-string Ernie Ball.
Oh.
Which is a Music Man, which is an amazing bass. It's a solid rock bass. Yeah, and then I got my Taylor acoustic.
See, I'm a bass player, so as soon as somebody mentions more than 4 strings, I'm like super impressed. I'm like, you used to play a 5-string?
Oh man, it's the best. That low B is the low B on that bass can make so many different sounds. And
I'm sure it's awesome. I can't. I've never attempted it. See, I started on bass because, and bass players hate when I say this, but it's just the truth. So when I was a kid, I took guitar lessons. And unfortunately, I was one of those lazy kids who, if I wasn't good at it right away, I would get bored with it. So, because, I could continue to learn these scales and chords, but I really like that video game and I'm good at that. So it was that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I took lessons but I plateaued because I didn't have the discipline. I wish I had. But anyway, so then in high school, I picked up a bass, just fooling around with some friends musically. I picked up a bass and I seemed to have a feel for it, but I also was keenly aware. I remember this is the part that bass players hate when I say this, but I remember thinking 2 less strings and I don't have to know any chords. I think I found my instrument. And then
funny.
I went on to play bass in a bunch of bands, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So I can play guitar a little bit, just power chord. Like I could be in a punk band if I wanted
Right.
to, probably, but that's about the best I could do. But so you started on bass and then you went to guitar.
Yeah, yep. And then I usually play all the bass tracks on my records. Usually.
Okay.
This one I don't know if I'm going to or not. I haven't played in several years, so I'm a little dusty. So.
And that guitar you have sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
it's got a very rich, full sound.
Yeah, it's my Taylor. It's only a 314 or 315. And I bought it. This guitar is 20 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It
has the original Fishman pickup.
Yeah.
In the Taylor because the new Taylors have a new model.
Okay.
And people just love this old model much better.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does. Is that the only guitar you use?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't blame you. No,
Yeah,
really.
it sounds great.
It sounds really good.
It is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's warmed up over the years. The wood ages and you get that deeper tone because Taylors tend to have a higher end sound to them.
Okay.
But once you play a Taylor for 20 years, it's a lot warmer because Taylors are very bright.
I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Martins are warmer, Guilds are warmer, Taylors are bright.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I assume that's a guitar you use on all the
Oh yeah.
in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very
Thanks.
nice.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's my pal.
Yeah. Do you have? I know I asked you how many songs you know. Do you have any idea how many songs you've written?
God, probably 80, 100.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 100.
Do you still play anything that, if you think back to early when you started writing songs, do you still play anything that goes
There's
way
one
back?
There's one song. So one of the very first songs I wrote, I still do that one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's Yeah, it's the only one really that I do. That's really old.
Oh, that's cool. Has it changed over the years,
No.
or do you stay faithful to the original
I've
arrangement?
stayed faithful to the original arrangement. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And when did so the studio material that we've been featuring on the show? Obviously, you've got the new one that's coming out, and you said probably July.
Yes, early July. Yeah.
So the songs that are on your website currently that we've been playing, when did those come out?
Those were 2015, I think, or 2014.
Okay.
2014 or 2015. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. So I kind of laid low, but now that I'm back in it, I'm like, well, I got to get something new out there.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. That song, Reach Up, do you play that live?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I play Boxer. I do a lot off that record still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good stuff. Absolutely. And what's kind of the future trajectory? So you've got the new album should be done in July, and then do you have plans, because you said things were kind of low key for a while and then started really ramping back up. So do you plan to just keep going, just keep touring?
Yeah, I really would love to do this full time and be able to leave my human service job, if once and for all, and then perform music, 4 nights a week and have that be full time. And
yep.
Yeah, I mean, with New Hampshire Music Collective, they're definitely helping me with that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on your way.
Yeah, they're
great.
They've been amazing. Yeah.
Do they have are they a big do they have a lot of clients,
they have a lot
or?
of artists.
Yeah,
they have a lot of artists.
I'll have to look them up. I'm curious. I feel like I've heard of them, but
I'm sure you have. I mean, because they book many venues in the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They've been around a long time, I assume.
Yeah, for a little while. Yeah, I don't think very long, but long enough where they have they have a lot of venues.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You do you ever open for anybody? Any national acts that come through, or?
I've opened up for several when I was playing a while back. I opened up for Blessed Union of Souls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I opened up for Howie Day back in the day.
No kidding. Yeah.
I opened up for a couple independent singer-songwriters like Melissa Farrick.
Yeah.
Garrison Starr, Edie Carey. Yeah, that's what I've done so far, and hopefully John over at New Hampshire Music Collective is going to hopefully start getting me into those roles.
Do you have a dream headliner you'd like to open for?
Yes, the Indigo Girls.
No kidding.
For years I've wanted to do that.
They they used to come. I don't know if they still do.
Oh, they still come around a lot.
They used to go to Meadowbrook every summer.
Yeah, and they're also with the Flying Monkey now every year.
Oh, no kidding.
At least once or twice a year. Yeah.
Oh, so that's
up in Plymouth.
So that's good. Well,
yeah.
That's geographically, that's I'd say that tips the odds in your favor.
Yeah, I would hope that would be awesome.
Getting on that bill, yeah,
that would be great.
It seems like they've been around forever.
Been around since the '80s.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's what I appreciate about artists like that is they're an example of someone who's been able to build such a career and a following, a loyal following, with very little support from radio. And I mean,
that is true.
I mean, I think there might be one or two songs that. Yeah, and I'm sure, it depends on the format you're listening to, but as far as like mainstream radio, really, is there one song that was kind of big that I've
Closer to Fine?
Oh, yes, that one, yeah.
That one was on the radio a lot.
Yeah, that one was kind of a hit, yeah.
Yeah.
But they've never had a big presence on radio, and that just always impresses me. Completely different genre, obviously, and not someone that I enjoy their work personally, but just another example that I happened to be discussing on the show the other day with somebody. Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
I don't like them, but they've got this empire that they've built with no support from radio,
right?
Like at all, ever. And that's impressive.
It is impressive, and the same thing with Ani DeFranco.
Oh, I love her.
She is like very self-made.
I've met her. Yeah. Oh, she's amazing.
She is amazing.
I think the last time I saw her was in Providence. It was quite a while ago. I haven't seen her in a long time, but yeah, you're right. She's another example of someone who really, she started. I remember she started her own label. She probably still has it.
Oh yeah, definitely Righteous Babe Records. Yeah.
Yes, and. Yeah, really just, I remember when she was first starting to really get traction, because at the time I was working, obviously you remember Strawberries.
Oh, yes.
Strawberries Records and Tapes. And I was working at the one in Concord, and that was where I first really became aware of her. and people started coming in looking for her stuff. And at first we didn't have it because nobody. It was like nobody that worked for the company was aware of her, but somebody was aware of her because we kept having people coming in, asking for Ani DeFranco. So finally we started getting her music in. But yeah, you're right. She's another example of, because honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of a big radio hit. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting.
I think possibly 32 Flavors.
Okay. Yeah. But again, someone who's never had a big presence on radio, but who's very successful.
Oh my gosh, she sells out in a day.
Oh yeah. I always respected that about the Grateful Dead too. Again, I'm not a big fan. Take them or leave them, but they other than Touch of Grey, they didn't really have.
No, you're right.
I think they had one other.
They had a few,
but nothing. Never dominant. But
Ripple was pretty big.
Yeah. But they could, sell out anywhere in the world, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
when Jerry Garcia was still alive. So, and what should people know, Andrea, as far as you've got your website, AndreaPaquin.com. Did you build that yourself?
Yeah, that's just a drag and drop from Squarespace.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a website nerd. It's a good site.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's clear. It's easy to maintain. It's easy to manage. And then I use the bands in town to keep my tour listed on there.
Yeah. No, I like the layout, and I know I'm geeking out on your website.
No, I appreciate it.
But I like the layout. It is very clean, easy to navigate, but modern looking. That's what really matters. It's got to look.
And you can also go to my Linktree. So it's linktree.com/Andrea Paquin, and my Instagram, Facebook, my tip jar, my newsletter, everything is there.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. So all the links to the social media and all of that. Fantastic. Oh, and how do you, for the spelling impaired, how do you spell Paquin?
It's Paquin.
Very good. I'm sure everyone can figure out Andrea, but you never know with
it's with an E, Andrea with an E, A-N-D-R-E-A.
There you go. From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Yeah. Very good.
I'm going to grab my other guitar here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just joining us, we have Shane Ballin in studio with us. He's playing live for us. He's got a brand new EP, and we've shared some studio tracks on the show, but Shane is back live with us in studio and sounds phenomenal. Oh, you found your water. That's good. Shane was commenting earlier. He thought he'd left it in the car. It does get dry in here, that's for sure, with the air conditioning going and whatnot. But so Shane is here. Just to tell us why the switching of the guitars. What's different about this guitar?
I have some heavier strings on the other guitar.
Yeah.
This guitar has some lighter strings on it. Better for finger picking. Sounds better.
Oh, I gotcha.
I gotcha. Sometimes easier on the fingers, but that one's a little bit more heavier gauge.
When you play out, do you usually bring two guitars and switch off?
Never had, really. I got two guitars.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because you just got one of them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I had an old Gibson, and I was still using it for a while. That 59 Gibson.
Yeah.
And I said I'm not going to use it anymore.
Yeah.
So I just kind of put that away.
Oh, I got you.
And then now, so it was great. I'm going to be over. Like I said, I was at the Old Salt. Did a little thing over there. I'm going to be playing in Hampton for a couple parties over there.
Excellent.
Northampton.
Excellent.
So I'm excited about that. And there's Charlie's Hill show coming up. Live, Love, Laugh Festival. That's going to be coming up a little bit, about a month or so. And then maybe my friend Brian Munger, I might have a little show coming up here with him too. So
yeah, that's a name I've heard.
Mm-hmm. Plays a lot in Maine. Plays a lot around here too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very good. Very good. All right.
So yeah, what are we gonna play next? Maybe I'll let's see. I'll play Charlie, I guess.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this is the now we should clarify too for people. So on the EP, there's two different versions of this, correct? There's
yeah. I was recording this, and Mr. Goodbars, Tim, he said he had an idea already. As soon as he heard it,
yeah,
and he put the bass behind it, and I said, "Wow, that's great." I didn't think of that song like that, or any of the songs that I was playing with the fingerpick style. It seemed very folk and slow, and when you put that to it, it just gives it life, and you feel like you can merge the genres like that.
Yeah,
you see that a lot with country right now.
Oh yeah.
Like he was saying, the beats now have switched from country and R&B or rap, kind of switched it.
It's true.
Hip hop, I should say.
Yeah.
But so this song is called Charlie, and it's dedicated to Terry Merrill and her daughter Charlie. And this is daughter. She passed away. She was several years ago now. But this song I wrote because all the different things that would remind me of her daughter, and kind of one night just wrote this after waking up and having. I really didn't know her that well too either.
Yeah.
And I wrote this. So this is the first song I ever wrote.
Oh wow, no kidding.
Saturday night jams and loving hands, pink guitars and borrowed cars. The distance between us is closer than you think. Next time you're in the field and the stars give a wink, just remember I'm waiting here in sleep. Just like the campers in your field on retreat. I'm the flickering light, and I am the reason you fight. I am the curl in your grin, I'm the chills upon your neck. I am the whistle in the wind, and I'm the silence when you rest. When living, love, and laughter survive, and a hot stove keeps that music alive. It's a resignation that still resides. In all this you'll find I'm the flickering light, I'm the reason you fight. I'm the curl in your grin, and I'm the chills on your neck. I'm the whistle in the wind, and I'm the silence when you rest. Living, love, and laughter survive, and the hot stove keeps the music alive. Mike Merrill, it's the resonation that still resides. And oh yes, you'll find it's me, it's me, it's me, and my amaze me. Oh, it's me, it's me, oh, it's me, Charlie, me, Charlie.
That's the first song you ever wrote, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
I just recently started playing it more of a song. It was like a spoken word.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So, when you wrote that, obviously you knew you were already playing and everything, and you were already playing covers and so forth. But you just hadn't.
Yeah, I was playing covers, lots of covers.
Okay,
yeah,
but that was your first time.
And I think I was playing like some sort of progression, with that progression in a song.
Yeah.
Which is thousands have the same
Yeah,
progression.
yeah.
It's changed slightly, but
right.
Don't call me Ed Sheeran. but yeah, and then I just kind of applied that into there, and
yeah, wow.
Then I noticed you get a feeling as a songwriter starting off that you want to keep using that kind of progression. Then you go, I got to change it.
Right.
All my songs are going to have that same thing, even though you can change it up to make it sound different. But
yeah. So
I'm trying to, find different ways to make different melodies here.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another thing I'm really excited to keep working with people who are looking for, especially, like hip hop and R&B, looking for beats, looking for, riffs and guitar, finger picking too, like that, because you hear that in a lot, different, trap stuff or.
Oh yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, the person who sent that message on the text line, that was, she said, thanks, Matt. It's his number 2 fan, Carrie. His mom is, of course, number 1.
Hey, Carrie. She's great. Thanks, Carrie.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. All right. Oh, and Yardbird Blue Sky says, great song, #Shane.
Thank you. I was going to play String Pain Projection.
Yeah, yeah. This is the title track, right?
Yeah, this is the title track.
Excellent.
I wrote this song when I was sitting in front of a wood fire and watching a bunch of bands out there afterwards. It just takes like one line. You feel one line all of a sudden. I was watching Van Morrison was talking about that on an old video you can find too. He says that with Bob Dylan. He's standing there and he says, about songwriting. And one line popped in my head. I don't know why. I wrote it down, and that leads to another line.
Yep.
And it leads to a chorus, and the next thing you know, you have a song.
Yeah.
But you sometimes you think of something and you go, I should write it down, but you got to write it down because it might be a good song.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll forget it.
Yeah.
Go eat a snack.
Yeah.
You can't catch me on rail, I'm running instead. You can't catch me on radar, I'm running instead. Fast upon the riches, I've got my help. I'm pulling in these finish lines, 4 tires all flat, proving them wrong what they thinking about that. I rise like a phoenix and land on my feet, with felines abilities to fire my wings. But string pain projection makes my fingers bleed. The subconscious mind is drafting nicely. Like my cat on my chest, purring in his dream. The wind's howling outside like a banshee scream. I've been known to make a 6-string sing. I love the songs that a stovepipe sing. They create some confusion to the dream. Kicks and the bangs when a scream door swings. I love the songs that the stovepipe sing. Oh, creaks and the bangs when a screen door swings. And I love the smells that a can campfire brings the smoky infusion into my blue jeans. Can't catch me on the radar, I'm running in stealth. Fast up on riches, I've got my health. Pulling in the finish lines, 4 tires all flat. Proving them wrong, what they thinking about that. Can't catch me on radar, I'm running in stealth. Past upon riches, I've got my health. Moving in finish lines, 4 tires all flat. Proving them wrong, what they thinking about that?
From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. Quick call for the band while they're still here, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Or I should say while we're all here, because we're almost out of show. It goes so quick. Mike from Queen City Cabinetry, one of our great sponsors here at WMNH, is in the chat room. He says, great show today, guys. Super talented. So you have a fan. And
thanks, man.
Mike from Queen City Cabinetry. Are you familiar with Queen City Cabinetry?
I hear it all the time on your radio station. I mean, yes. I hear the ads.
They're in the historic Sunbeam Mall.
That's right.
Named, of course, for General Sunbeam. Who
is that? Who is named after?
General Sunbeam. That's why it's historic.
I thought it was the appliance guy.
No. General Sunbeam. He won the war. I mean, if it wasn't for General Sunbeam, who knows what would have happened to us?
I thought the war was over, man.
Well, the war was over when General Sunbeam won it for us.
Wow.
I mean, we could have all been speaking Hungarian right now.
War never changes.
General Sunbeam. The greatest,
I think it was Sunbeam that said war is hell.
The greatest military mind since sliced bread, General Sunbeam. And by the way, I suggest you think about that the next time you're enjoying a delicious sandwich.
I will. How many stars? Was it like a 2-star?
He was a 5-star general.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Really? Yeah.
Supreme commander.
Think about that. The next time you're eating a sandwich, think about the freedom that you have to eat that sandwich, and think of General Sunbeam.
Wow.
That's right.
You feel that salty umami, gratifying taste in your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Sunbeam did that.
That's the ectoplasm.
Actually, I just felt was a chill come over me, and I think it's the ghost of General Sunbeam. I think he's here with us.
He's watching over us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From a distance. General Sunbeam.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Somebody's Sunbeam.
That's right. It's General Sunbeam watching over
you. I feel like General Sunbeam.
And I can't get no sandwiches.
I mean, I don't know.
You seem skeptical there, Fredo. I have to say, you seem a little skeptical about the whole thing. You do.
It's just the sandwich thing that gets me.
Yeah. You almost seem like
I feel like I earn my own sandwich.
I get it.